The book of Joshua, beginning with its first chapter, unfolds a tale of courage, faith, and divine providence. In the wake of Moses' death, the mantle of leadership falls upon Joshua, son of Nun. The Israelites stand at the threshold of the Promised Land, their hearts filled with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. The Lord speaks to Joshua, his words resonating with power and purpose. "Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving to them, to the people of Israel." Joshua, once the faithful assistant, now finds himself at the helm of a nation poised for conquest. The weight of responsibility settles upon his shoulders like a heavy cloak. He recalls the years of wandering in the wilderness, the miracles witnessed, and the unwavering faith of Moses. As he gazes across the Jordan River, the lush landscapes of Canaan beckon, a stark contrast to the arid deserts they've traversed for 4 decades. The Lord's commandment echoes in Joshua's mind, "Be strong and courageous." These words become his mantra, a source of strength in the face of the daunting task ahead. Joshua begins to rally the people, his voice carrying across the camp with a newfound authority. The Israelites, sensing the pivotal moment in their history, listen intently as their new leader outlines the divine mandate. As the Israelites prepare for their monumental crossing, Joshua, ever the strategist, decides to gather intelligence about their first target, Jericho. He selects 2 men, known for their cunning and bravery, to embark on a perilous mission. Under the cover of darkness, these spies slip away from the Israelite camp, their hearts pounding with a mixture of excitement and fear. The fortified city of Jericho looms before them, its imposing walls a testament to its might. The spies navigate the narrow streets, their senses alert to any sign of danger. Fortune smiles upon them as they find refuge in the house of Rahab, a woman whose profession places her on the fringes of society, but whose actions will forever alter the course of history. Rahab, her eyes wide with recognition, whispers urgently to the spies, "I know that the Lord has given you this land." Her words confirm what the Israelites have long believed. Their reputation precedes them, striking fear into the hearts of Canaan's inhabitants. As shouts and footsteps echo through the streets, Rahab makes a fateful decision. She hides the spies, risking her life for these strangers and securing a promise of protection for herself and her family. The spies return to Joshua, their report filled with optimism and divine confirmation. Time has come for the Israelites to claim their promised inheritance. Joshua issues a command to the people, "Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you." A buzz of anticipation ripples through the camp as the Israelites prepare themselves, both physically and spiritually, for the miraculous event to come. As dawn breaks, the Israelites approach the Jordan River. The waters, swollen from spring rains, rush by with intimidating force. Joshua instructs the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant to step into the raging current. A hush falls over the multitude as they watch, breath held in collective anticipation. Then, before their very eyes, a miracle unfolds. The moment the priests' feet touch the water's edge, the flow ceases. Upstream, the river piles up in a great heap, while downstream, it drains away towards the Dead Sea. A path of dry land appears, stretching across the riverbed. The Israelites, their faith rewarded, begin to cross. Men, women, children, and livestock traverse the Jordan, their feet kicking up dust where water had flowed just moments before. The priests stand firm in the middle of the riverbed, the Ark of the Covenant, a powerful symbol of God's presence among his people. With the Jordan behind them, the Israelites now face their first major obstacle in the Promised Land, the fortified city of Jericho. Its towering walls, said to be impenetrable, loom before them like a challenge to their faith. Joshua, guided by divine instruction, devises a strategy that defies conventional military wisdom. For 6 days, the Israelite army marches around the city in complete silence, led by 7 priests carrying ram's horn trumpets before the Ark of the Covenant. The residents of Jericho watch from atop their walls, a mixture of confusion and fear etched on their faces. On the 7th day, Joshua commands the people to circle the city 7 times, culminating in a crescendo of trumpet blasts and a mighty shout from the entire army. The air vibrates with the sound of thousands of voices raised in unison. Then, in a moment that would be etched in history, The seemingly invincible walls of Jericho crumble. The Israelites charge forward, claiming their first victory in Canaan. Amidst the chaos, Rahab and her family are spared, testament to the spies' promise and God's faithfulness. Flush with victory, the Israelites set their sights on the small city of Ai. Confidence high, Joshua sends only a small force to take the city. However, what should have been an easy conquest turns into a humiliating defeat. The men of Ai chase the Israelites away, dealing a blow not just to their military strength, but to their morale. Joshua, devastated, falls face down before the Ark of the Covenant, seeking answers from the Lord. Revelation comes. Sin has entered the camp. Someone has disobeyed God's command and taken plunder from Jericho, which was to be entirely devoted to destruction. The Lord's anger burns against Israel, and he withdraws his presence from them. A solemn assembly is called, and through a process of elimination, the guilty party is identified. Achan, son of Carmi. With trembling hands and a heavy heart, Achan confesses to his transgression. He had coveted and hidden a beautiful Babylonian garment, silver and gold, from Jericho's ruins. The consequences of his actions are severe, serving as a stark reminder of the importance of obedience to God's commands. With the sin purged from their midst, the Israelites once again turn their attention to Ai. This time, Joshua employs a cunning strategy. He sends a force to lure the men of Ai out of the city, while another group lies in ambush. The plan works perfectly. As the men of Ai pursue what they believe to be a retreating Israelite army, the hidden forces emerge and take the undefended city. Joshua, standing on a hill overlooking the battlefield, raises his javelin as a signal. The Israelites in ambush set Ai ablaze, while those feigning retreat turn to face their pursuers. Caught between two Israelite forces and with their city in flames, the men of Ai realize too late that they've fallen into a trap. The battle ends in decisive victory for Israel. As the smoke rises from the ruins of Ai, Joshua leads the people in renewing their covenant with God. On Mount Ebal, he builds an altar and inscribes the law of Moses on stones, reading aloud all the blessings and curses as commanded. This solemn ceremony serves as a powerful reminder of their dependence on God and the importance of following his laws in their new homeland. As news of Israel's victories spreads throughout Canaan, fear grips the hearts of the local inhabitants. Among them, the people of Gibeon devise a clever scheme to save themselves. They send a delegation to the Israelite camp, disguised as travelers from a distant land. Wearing worn-out clothes and carrying moldy bread, they approach Joshua and the elders of Israel. With convincing performances, the Gibeonites plead for a treaty, claiming they've journeyed from afar, impressed by the tales of Israel's God. Joshua and the leaders, relying on their own judgment rather than seeking divine guidance, are taken in by the ruse. They swear an oath to protect the Gibeonites, unknowingly allying themselves with one of the very peoples they were commanded to drive out. 3 days later, the truth comes to light. The Israelites discover the Gibeonites are their neighbors, living within the land they were meant to conquer. Bound by their oath, Joshua cannot destroy them. Instead, he assigns the Gibeonites to be woodcutters and water carriers for the congregation and for the altar of the Lord, position they would hold for generations to come. The alliance between Israel and Gibeon does not go unnoticed. Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, rallies 4 other Amorite kings to attack Gibeon, viewing their treaty with Israel as an act of betrayal. The Gibeonites, in desperation, send word to Joshua calling for aid. Joshua, honoring the treaty, mobilizes his entire army for a night march from Gilgal to Gibeon. The ensuing battle is nothing short of extraordinary. As the Israelites clash with the Amorite coalition, the Lord intervenes in a spectacular display of power. Great hailstones rain down from the sky, causing more casualties among the enemy than the swords of the Israelites. But the day's miracles are far from over. With victory in sight but daylight fading, Joshua calls out to the Lord in front of all Israel, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon, over the valley of Aijalon." To the astonishment of all, the sun and moon obey, providing extended daylight for Israel to complete their rout of the Amorite forces. This unprecedented event becomes legendary, recorded in the Book of Jashar and retold for generation. With the south largely subdued, Joshua turns his attention northward. Jabin, king of Hazor, alarmed by Israel's unbroken string of victories, forms a massive coalition of northern kings. They gather their forces at the waters of Merom, their combined armies as numerous as the sand on the seashore, with horses and chariots in great number. The Lord reassures Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, for tomorrow at this time I will give over all of them, slain, to Israel." True to his word, the Lord delivers them into Israel's hands. Joshua leads a surprise attack, and the Israelite forces sweep through the enemy ranks like an unstoppable flood. Following divine instructions, Joshua hamstrings the horses and burns the chariots, ensuring Israel doesn't rely on these instruments of warfare, but continues to trust in God's power. Hazor, the head of all these kingdoms, is burned to the ground, while other cities are left standing, but stripped of their wealth and inhabitants. This campaign marks the climax of Joshua's military conquest, securing Israel's dominion over much of the Promised Land. With the major military campaigns concluded, Joshua, now advanced in years, faces a new challenge: dividing the conquered territory among the tribes of Israel. The Lord speaks to Joshua, saying, "You are old and advanced in years, and there remains yet very much land to possess." This divine reminder spurs Joshua into action, knowing that his time to complete this crucial task is limited. The process of land allocation begins with the casting of lots before the Lord at Shiloh. Each tribe's inheritance is determined not by human preference, but by divine providence. The descendants of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim receive their portions first, followed by the remaining tribes. As the lots are cast, a tapestry of tribal territories emerges, each with its unique landscapes and resources. Caleb, Joshua's old companion from the days of spying out the land, approaches with a special request. Recalling the promise Moses made to him 45 years earlier, Caleb asks for the hill country of Hebron. Despite his advanced age, Caleb's vigor remains undiminished, and he confidently asserts his ability to drive out the Anakites, the fearsome giants that had once terrified the Israelites. As the land division nears completion, Joshua implements another of God's commands: the establishment of cities of refuge. These special cities are designated as safe havens for those who accidentally cause another's death, protecting them from blood vengeance until they can stand trial. 6 cities are chosen, strategically located to be accessible from all parts of the land. Next, the Levites, who do not receive a territorial inheritance due to their priestly duties, are allocated cities within the territories of the other tribes. This dispersion ensures that spiritual leadership and teaching are available throughout the land. 48 cities, including the 6 cities of refuge, are distributed among the Levitical clans, fulfilling God's plan for their support and service. As these final pieces fall into place, a sense of completion settles over the land. Joshua reflects on the journey that has brought them to this point, marveling at the faithfulness of God in fulfilling every promise made to their forefathers. The conquest and division of the land stand as a testament to divine providence and the obedience of God's people. As Joshua's life draws to a close, he summons all Israel, their elders, heads, judges, and officers. With the weight of years and wisdom upon him, he delivers a powerful farewell address. His voice, though aged, carries the authority of one who has walked closely with God and led a nation to victory. Joshua begins by recounting the Lord's faithfulness, reminding the people of their journey from Egypt to the Promised Land. He emphasizes how God fought for them, driving out mighty nations before them. With passionate urgency, he exhorts the Israelites to remain faithful to the Lord, warning them of the consequences, turning to the gods of the nations around them. In a moment reminiscent of Moses' final address, Joshua presents the people with a choice. Choose this day whom you will serve. His words ring out across the assembly, challenging each individual to make a personal commitment. Then, in a powerful declaration of faith, Joshua proclaims, "But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." People, moved by Joshua's words and the memory of God's mighty deeds, respond with a resounding pledge of allegiance to the Lord. In the twilight of his remarkable life, Joshua gathers all the tribes of Israel at Shechem for one last assembly. This historic location, where Abraham first received God's promise of the land, now bears witness to a solemn renewal of the covenant. The air is thick with anticipation as the aged leader prepares to address his people one final time. With a voice weathered by years of leadership, yet still commanding respect, Joshua recounts the epic story of their nation. He speaks of Abraham's call, the deliverance from Egypt, and the conquest of Canaan. Each word serves as a brushstroke, painting a vivid picture of God's unwavering faithfulness throughout generations. The assembled Israelites listen intently, their collective memories stirred by this recitation of their sacred history. Joshua's tone shifts as he issues a challenge that will echo through the ages. Choose this day whom you will serve. His eyes, though dimmed with age, scan the crowd with intensity. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. These words hang in the air, a gauntlet thrown down before the people. The response is swift and unanimous, a resounding commitment to serve the Lord alone. Seizing the moment, Joshua enacts a powerful symbolic gesture. He takes a large stone and sets it up under the oak near the sanctuary of the Lord. This stone, he declares, will stand as a witness to their pledge. It's a tangible reminder of the covenant renewed this day, a silent sentinel to hold future generations accountable. As the assembly disperses, there's a palpable sense that an era is coming to an end. Joshua, the warrior-turned-leader who guided them into the Promised Land, has fulfilled his divine mission. Soon after, at the age of 110, Joshua breathes his last. He is buried in his inheritance at Timnath-Serah in the hill country of Ephraim. The book closes with a testament to Joshua's impact. Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua and had known all the work that the Lord did for Israel. His legacy lives on, not just in conquered territories or divided lands, but in the hearts of a people committed to their God.